Hey, I'm Nordin. I play soccer for 865 in UAB, and this is the No Playbook podcast.
All right. Thank you so much for checking out the show. It's the podcast featuring the outstanding athletes, coaches, and experts from East Tennessee. It's another soccer episode. Fantastic player from here in Knoxville. Lucas Nordin played at Bearden High School and went on to ETSU. Now he's transferred to UAB for next season. He's also been a big part of the NPSL squad here in East Tennessee, 865 Alliance. So I've had a great time getting to watch him be such a fantastic piece of that team. So he comes on to join me to talk about his recruiting experience, what it was like in the transfer portal, and he talks about like the importance of training and being a part of a summer league team, like what he did this year with 865 Alliance. This episode is sponsored by Stinnett Collision. I'll get to Lucas Nordin right after this. Sit tight.
Hi, I'm Zach Stinnett, third-generation owner of Stinnett Collision. As a proud supporter of Tennessee athletics, we know that every game counts. When a collision puts you out of play, we're here to get you back in the game. Family-owned since 1965, Stinnett Collision now has locations in Maryville and Sevierville. With double the space and a team of certified technicians, we'll tackle your repairs and get you back on the road in no time. Don't let a collision sideline you. Visit Stinnett Collision today.
You said you just got back to from vacation?
Yeah, I was in Virginia Beach. My dad works over there, so it
How was
was a
it?
good time. Oh, it's fantastic. It's right where Oceana, the the Coast Guard, Navy Coast Guard is there. It's just crazy seeing those fighter jets flying. It's insane. They fly over like every 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Like F-18s, like just military planes. They're so loud. It's insane. Yeah, it was fun. Had a good time. Glad to be back though. So exciting
When
stuff.
do you have to be back on campus for training for your new school?
That I'm leaving the 19th, so we got like we don't officially have to be up till like early August, but I like to go up early, kind of adapt to the environment. And there's a couple camps going on. I'm working a few camps like the little kids and stuff. So that'll be fun. And yeah, just get to know the guys because different team. Looking forward to it. Seeing what's going to happen.
Yeah. Tell me about that transferring process, like just from you deciding I want to transfer to, choosing a school.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty stressful. I'm not gonna lie. For me, a lot of guys, what they'll do is they'll transfer in the fall instead of the spring because season ends in the fall, and there's that window to head into the portal then. And I was like, I'm gonna stick it out, see how it is because I already have my classes and everything sorted for the spring. So I ended up staying, and then I decided, this is something I really want to do. I kind of just sat on it for a little bit, and I decided, yeah, I think this is the right decision. And it was crazy because it was the new rule. I don't know if you're familiar with it. They changed it to only 28 players now on a roster. It used to be max, like you could have how many ever players you want. Like, we had like 35 guys. Some schools have like 38, 40 players. It's like, shoot, most schools are like cutting players now. So it was stressful, but I'm glad I found the place I wanted to be. And my coaches were actually my former ETSU coaches. They left to go there, so I'm super excited. I know I'm getting into, so should be fun.
That sucks, man. People are getting cut.
Yeah, it's crazy. I know a few of my buddies. They're just like, yeah. I mean, like my coach was just brought me in and was like, hey, this new rule, we just have to cut a couple players, and unfortunately, you're one of those people.
Yeah.
So it sucks, but it's life.
Do you have any, or did you have any other like Knoxville natives up there with you at ETSU?
Yeah, well, I had a guy play with me at FC Alliance. He was our goalie, Sam McGee. He's a good guy, but he's actually from Johnson City area, so it works out well for him. But yeah, that's the only guy I know that played ETSU. So I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. I'm just remembering something that and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you and Brinley Murphy both won like a national award, or was it a state award the same season while you're at Bearden?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. We went to Philly together because we both got All-American, high school All-American, and that was a good time, because she was actually the national All-American Player of the Year, which is ridiculous. I was I was just one of the 20 or 25, 30 guys who was All-American, but you know, it's insane that she was the girl. Like it's pretty crazy. But that was
Yeah,
sick.
yeah.
We kind of shared the field, the glory at Bearden when we were there. It's pretty
That's pretty
fun.
cool.
Crazy, we're both Bulldogs.
Um, Another connection I like to hear about with you is I really enjoy watching you and Andy Sullins whenever you're on the field at the same time. You just seem to have
Mhm.
like a real connection. Do you kind of feel that?
Yeah, I mean, Andy's like, I would say he's probably one of my best friends. I've known him for so long, and I mean, when you're good friends with someone, it's easy to kind of have that chemistry, and especially him. I was actually looking into going to VT, because I love playing with Andy so much. It'd be a great environment, be involved with him, but yeah, like he's such a great player, and typically, he plays at the D1 level. Like we're kind of on the same wavelength. We understand what we want to do, so it just makes it so much easier. I mean, half the time I'm driving, with the ball, I'm like, I'm looking for Andy, because I know he's going to make something good happen.
So now obviously you've gotten to play this summer a lot with the NPSL squad, 865 Alliance, another game this weekend. Um, Talk about the importance of being a part of a summer league like that and how that helps your game.
Yeah, I mean, of course you need to stay fit, and for me, I think it's great to be with a different team, get to know different players, and for me, I wanted to stay in town, play for my hometown team in Knoxville. I'd say I'm a homebody person, so yeah, it's definitely good to just it's I had some passion, to play for the team that I grew up playing for, so it's a great thing, to stay in shape and get to know different guys, different system, because every school, every coach is going to have a different play style. So it's nice to play different positions, and it kind of just gives you different things in your bag. So I had a great time. The last game, but I'm looking forward to it. Getting ready for the fall season. So should give me some momentum going into that. So I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Absolutely. Now, what about recruiting for you out of high school? Initially, what was that whole process like?
Yeah, the recruiting out of high school, it's different, from like basketball or football. Like with soccer, it's more, it's just you get recruited from club ball. So it's crazy. Like I had as much exposure than I thought with just playing high school ball. I mean, another thing too is like there's not very many D1 men's teams as well. Like there's none we don't have UT men's. So ETSU, there's like ETSU, Belmont, Lipscomb. I mean, I had all those schools talking to me, but if you're trying to get recruited in like different areas, when you go on those away tournaments and stuff for club, that's really when you get the opportunity. So yeah, it was a little interesting, but I'm not if you're familiar with what I did. I was committed to the Naval Academy for a little bit, and I decommitted from there and ended up going to ETSU. So it's kind of crazy, the whole recruiting process for me out of high school.
And that's a big decision too. Like it's not like you just chose switching from
Oh
Belmont to
yeah,
ETSU, like the Naval Academy.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I it's such a great place to come from. You're basically setting yourself up for life going there. But it's a big commitment, right? And it's 4 years of school and then 5 years of service. So it's a big commitment. And for me, I want to try to play at the professional level after college. So it's hard to make that happen going to a somewhere like that.
Yeah. Now, when you were being recruited, were you aggressive? Did you reach out and send 100 emails or whatever they say, like to reaching out to
Yeah.
coaches?
Oh, I mean, I was very adamant about it, but I mean, I've always been told this, like, you gotta you gotta be confident, like you gotta let coaches know they know, like, when recruiting kids, they don't just want like someone that's average. They want someone who's really going to make an impact. So, when I go to ID camps, or if I'd be in an area, like, I'd email a coach or something and be like, hey, like, I'm playing in this ID camp or in this game in this area, and I think I'm a great fit. I have this speed, blah blah blah. And yeah, I mean, coaches don't want a guy who's just gonna like go through the motions. They want a guy who's really trying to show that they love the opportunity. So
Well, now speaking to that, what kind of extra training do you do besides just what you get at like practice with the club?
yeah, I mean, I I mean, you can ask any great player. They're not just going to do the bare minimum of going to training. You're not going to get better, right? Because everyone else is doing the same thing. So I try to get an individual session in, typically every day, honestly. We have A65 trainings in the afternoons, and I'll usually go to the field. I like to go to my, Bearden and, just get touches. It doesn't have to be something heavy, but, just working on things that, you can improve, or your strengths, or like little things, you can work on. I'm always out there, getting the work in.
Yeah. Is there a weakness that you have that you're trying to improve on?
Always, I mean, for me, like, I'd say something I need to work on is I mean, my weak foot's decent. I think I can definitely improve it, but I typically try to dribble only with my right, and cut to the right. Um, I think I can definitely improve on using my weak foot, but I mean, it's always like, at the higher level, it's so minute, like the difference between good and great players. So I think really just like, I kind of noticed this in the spring or in my fall college ball, is like just the timing of your runs, or like who you're playing the ball to, like just little things. I think it gets to the point like I'm at now where it's like it's mostly just mental, like just decision making. There's times where I'm sometimes where I just want to go, just go straight to goal. And a lot of times, coaches want you to hold the ball up, like let's just maintain possession and just, move it around. So I'm trying to become more composed, right? Like me and Andy were talking about this the other day. He was like, you know, I've noticed you're starting to get better at this, but I'm just trying to be like, I'm just trying to, control the game in a way. You don't always have to like make a play, right? Just keep the ball, just just professional with it, right?
Absolutely. Well, that's great. It's certainly fun watching you guys play. Um, is there, and this is a question everybody gets on the show. Let's say you're 80 years old, you close your eyes, you can picture some sports memory perfectly. What is that going to be for you?
Man, I got a couple, but I mean, right now, I mean, I'd honestly say, um, my first collegiate goal was, it took a long time for me. You know, I'm being humble saying this. Like, I was in the mud. I was. It didn't go the way I wanted to. First two seasons of my collegiate career. It's a huge step. From the high school to the college level, and I was struggling. Like, a lot of players in the same boat. It's not as easy as you think. Like everyone there. I mean, for example, most of my team is, overseas Europeans. They come play. So, you know, when I was playing for ETSU, like my freshman year, when I was getting on the field, I would be the only American. Our starting lineup was only Europeans. Like I started like one or two games, and when I was starting, I was the only American on the field. So it's like it's a grind. Like it's a huge step, and I was struggling to find my footing. So I mean, I started playing well. Um, I was having trouble. I knew I wasn't going to obviously be an impact starter off the bat our freshman year, but I started a few games, but it wasn't until like the end of my sophomore year, like this fall, where I ended up scoring in the our SoCon tournament against um it was against Wofford, and it was like we ended up winning in penalties, and like man, I really swear like that moment right there kind of just like flipped the switch. I was like, all right, bet like I can run at this level, and ever since then, like I've really been performing, like in the spring season, you know, I I was scoring like every other game, I had assists and stuff. So I really think I'm gonna come out flying, this fall at UAB. I'm really looking forward to it. And yeah, I mean, everyone has a different, like timing with when they kind of find their footing and stuff. And for me, it took longer than I expected, but that switch really just flipped, and I'm ready to play at that level now.
How's UAB's club? How is their like tradition of soccer?
Yeah, so UAB they definitely been rebuilding, like they haven't been great in the past, but since my coaches have moved there, they were like completely rebuilding the program. We're bringing in like I mean for my class, well not my class, but as I'm arriving, we're bringing in like 10 guys and you know, like two of them, I can basically name it out. One's from Boston U, one's from Xavier. I mean, me's the one from ETSU. We got a kid from just name my roommates. Um, I mean, it's just crazy because we have like, like eight um transfer. It's insane how it is now. Like a lot of people have mixed emotions and thoughts about the whole portal being open now, but as a player going through it, I'm like, dude, this is you need it, Like some people are like, it's not fair that players are just transferring and not seeing out a year, but I mean, sometimes you just don't have the right you don't feel like you're in the right situation where you're from and you just got to move and yeah, that's something that happened with me. But um, yeah, we're bringing a ton of guys, and how we play this kind of system I like to play. Like you have wingers, 4-2-3 or 3-4-3, and when we have the ball, we're direct with it. Like get the ball wide and let someone run at people. So I mean, I'm I think I'm, going to end up playing either on the wing or striker. At the higher level, honestly, every player should be versatile. We're going to play, anywhere, most multiple positions. So yeah, I'm super stoked to get going.
Yeah, and like you talk about kind of that other perspective of the transfer portal. I like hearing those things because it's easy to complain about it. It's kind of like NIL. People are
Hmm.
it's easy to complain
Yeah.
about because of stories like Nico Iamaliava. Then there's also stories
Hmm.
like the soccer and their baseball program where they're expected to spend so many hours a week training. They don't have time to have a job, and a lot of them don't even have a
Exactly.
scholarship.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, you can go back and forth on it, but I mean, like it's a business, I mean, you look at how much money these kids are bringing in for programs. Like they deserve to have a cut in it. You can't just treat them as like they're your workhorse. Like, no, these guys are bringing in the money. They're bringing in the tournament, so they deserve to be paid for, it, right? So I'll always be on the side of the athletes with the NIL stuff.
All right, man. Well, good luck this weekend and this next season at UAB, and I will catch you later.
Yeah, take care, man. Appreciate you.
See you, buddy.